What's going on, retro gaming fans, and welcome to Rehab Gaming News. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about an item called 64 Mate. And this item is actually being advertised as a brand new storage device for your Nintendo 64. So stay tuned, and we'll get right at it. Check out what's happening now on Rehab Gaming News. So in today's news episode, we're going to be talking about the 64 Mate. Now, how I became aware of this product is actually by browsing Twitter. And I saw a tweet pop up, and it was covering a little bit of information about the 64 Mate and had some pictures. And it kind of got me thinking. So this item has been described as something that can be placed on the bottom side of your Nintendo 64, like the 64DD, and apparently it has many different uses. You can use it to store some of your games. If you have a smaller collection, you can use it to store a controller underneath your N64 console, or, and this is one of the things that got me excited about this product, you can possibly put all of your audio and video scaler devices underneath your console and have all of the wires tucked out of the way. But that's not all that this item can do. So the 64 Mate is basically just a plastic housing for anything that you want to put in connection to your N64 console. And that in and of itself gives this item a bright future and what all it can be used for. Now, the 64DD is actually a device that attaches to the bottom of your N64 console using the expansion port on the bottom side of your console underneath that little door that you lift up. The only thing that I'm aware of that expansion port being used for is the 64DD. Now, the reason why the 64 Mate has kind of sparked my interest is because maybe someone out there who loves the Nintendo 64 console can figure out a way to tap into that expansion port. And if that is true, then whatever you can possibly do with that port could be housed in the 64 Mate. For example, if you wanted to create some type of external memory device, if it is possible, to store your saved games, that would be one use. So this leaves multiple different possibilities for using the 64 Mate. So I actually reached out to the creators of the 64 Mate, and I sent them an email requesting a little more information. Email request that was sent, we specifically asked about what inspired such a device to be created, and what is the possible capabilities of this device housing the add-on hardware like I mentioned before, video capturing devices, and other such devices and technology. In response, they had this to say. They're currently working on a newsletter with that information that I requested and more, so make sure to sign up so I can stay aware of their progress. And I definitely did that. And then they also stated that they're going to try and answer some of the other questions that I had below in their provided email. So it seems like the original engineer of this project was Shane Batty, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name, which actually contacted the individual who responded to my email request, Gilly Guide, about an N64 OSSC enclosure that he had been working on. And apparently they both very much love the N64 console, and the responding party, Gilly Guide, agreed that he wanted to help it face a lot of the challenges it had in its initial inception. So as most N64 collectors and enthusiasts are all too aware of, the N64 console has many obstacles for us to overcome in today's video game society, namely the video quality and how to attach your N64 console to current TV devices, and also the video quality of the N64 that it outputs to those newer devices. Gillyguide apparently saw potential in the OSSC concept, and it sparked ideas for a physical companion to the N64 console itself. He said he wanted something that would allow him to play on a CRT at home and also to play on a friend's modern display when he goes over to visit. And he also wanted to be able to record footage of gameplay. Then how many more different ways could this item be used? And it seemed like the realm of possibility was endless. And then Gillyguide and Shane began to discuss how this project could possibly become a reality and what financial and logistical hurdles could they face in trying to put out such a product. So the two of them decided to partner up and put in their time and capital developing a prototype to show people what their idea was, and at which point they saw a huge amount of interest in their item, and they decided to pitch a Kickstarter campaign in order to help fund them putting the 64 mate out. So in order to see exactly how much interest the 64 mate would draw from the collector and gaming community, they proposed to do a grassroots marketing or advertising campaign, of which Twitter would be the primary platform for said campaign. Now, another interesting thing is that they apparently decided that they would open source their designs as they went through the development process. That way, if any passionate individuals that were inspired by the 64 mate could possibly use those designs and transform the 64 mate into something that would suit anyone's specific needs. For example, if you wanted to use the 64 mate to house your video capturing equipment and also video scalers, they wanted those individuals who were interested in doing such a thing to be able to tweak their design a little bit in order to suit those specific needs. So they took their designs and decided to 3D print a prototype, and they decided to share it to the public via a YouTube channel video. And they saw that there might actually be enough interest in the gaming community for such product to be properly developed and get it into the hands of gamers. And so, because of the logistical nightmare of what 3D printing a product could be, they decided it would be a good and readily available option for them to use the injection molding process in order to create the 64 mate, and it would also allow for a little bit of initial investment up front, however a low cost per unit. And since there being a low cost per unit during the manufacturing process, that in turn translates into a lower cost for the customers purchasing such an item. Well, because of the initial upfront cost of creating all of the molds for injection molding and any other costs associated with the startup of such a process, they require community support in order for their venture to be a success. That's where the Kickstarter campaign comes in. So, they stated that if they are successful in funding their Kickstarter, they will set up distribution channels through trusted, popular retro retailer online stores that they are already in contact with currently. They also go on to state that regardless if the Kickstarter campaign is a success or a huge flop, they will still be making all of their designs and their 3D models open source for community developments and mods as the community sees fit to use such device for their own personal means. So because product development is primarily being ran by two individuals and both of them are overseeing the entire project, it takes a little bit of time in order for them to try and work through the details and also get the information out to the public. So one of the things that they specifically requested is that anyone that is interested in the 64 mate, just please be a little patient with them, since they're having to go through the entire process of setting everything up for the process of getting the N64 mate from an idea to a tangible reality, and they're also trying to cover all of the media coverage for this device. And in order to sum up the entire thought process of the 64 mate project, they state that the 64 mate is a companion for your Nintendo 64 console to help it deal with the challenges of the modern world. Now, all of the images that you have seen throughout this entire video are images that have been taken directly from the 64 mate Twitter posts, and also show all of the process that it has come from its development of just a simple idea to a tangible product. So if the 64 mate seems to be that one thing that might actually help you out with storing your capture equipment or your video scaling it needs for your N64 console, you might want to give this item a good once over. And Shane and Gilly Guide seem to have a really good idea on their hands, and they're doing everything that they can to take that idea and turn it into reality, but there are quite a few challenges that they have to overcome throughout that entire process. If you do want to support their endeavor, check out their Twitter page and keep up to date on all the progress regarding their Kickstarter campaign, and so you know exactly when that campaign is gonna go live. So in closing, the 64 mate may just be that one thing to help you through the development process of a specific project you may have for your N64 console, and this item might actually just inspire others to try and find a way to overcome specific technical limitations of the N64 console in order to make it a console that belongs in today's technological world. If you want a little more information on the 64 mate and you'd like to do your own research on this project, check out the various articles linked down in the description of this video. And also feel free to follow the project on Twitter at official64mate. Thank you for tuning in to Rehab Gaming News, and we hope you have a wonderful day.